You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, and we are actually in studio. We have somebody special here with me. Who is it? Who is that?
It's me.
It's the wifey for lifey. How we doing, babe?
Good. How are you?
Good. So we're actually awkwardly looking at each other in studio because very rarely do I have an in-studio guest, so I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know, like, do I just look at you? Do I look at the microphone? What do I do here? All right, so here's the deal. We actually have a returning guest, my beautiful wife, which is just really, really cool. In fact, it's been a minute since you've been in the studio.
Yeah. It's in our garage, but you know.
Yeah. Well, let's not give away the whole farm, okay? People have no idea how my studio is set up. We took the garage and I literally cut it in half, and I said one half is mine and the other half is mine. But you get everything upstairs, you know what I'm saying? I got a little desk for my iMac, but that's about it. But hey, last time you were on the podcast, we just launched the podcast.
Yeah.
So, dude, actually, we probably pre-recorded that episode the first week of January.
Yeah, I think so. We had just put all of this together.
Yeah, because I put the whole podcast studio together in the off season. It was snowing, doing crazy stuff. I'm going to Home Depot getting plywood. It was just things getting wet, and so it was just so ridiculous.
Just making it up as we go.
I'm like spray painting all these walls in the garage. Forgot to like open the garage to vent. I'm like getting choked out. Like probably lost a few brain cells doing that. And
seems like so long ago, but it really hasn't been.
I know, but we're at the episode like 63 or 4 right now.
Wow.
I don't know what we're at right now, but we're in the 60s and it's going really, really good. We are in the top like 100 podcast for entrepreneurship in America.
I think it's closer to top 50 on average.
It is kind
of. You're being humble.
Well, it is top 50, which is really cool. We're hanging with the big dogs like Paul Jameson and Lawn Care Business Success Julio. Really good buds. You guys hear me shout them out all the time on the podcast. They have just really good content, different than mine. It's different perspectives, different stories, different emphases, you know, when they talk. And they're just really good buddies. Like Paul calls it iron sharpens iron. And all the podcasts are just doing well. We're talking lawn care, like entrepreneurship, yes, but like it's lawn care landscaping, and we're in the top 50, you know, podcasts hanging with like Dave Ramsey and Gary Vee, and like, I don't know, it's just kind of weird, isn't it?
It's wild, yeah.
But you guys keep listening. We'll keep making these episodes, and it's fun. So we actually do have a sponsor for this episode, something a little different. It's from Jobber. I got a little live read I'm going to do with you guys here, so you guys can check out what they got going on, and we'll get right back into it. All right, guys, the Built by You podcast is now out from Jobber. First off, want to say a big congratulations to those guys to getting into the podcast game. I cannot wait to see the content that they're going to bring behind the scenes that can help you guys grow your businesses. In fact, for a lot of you guys, when you're trying to grow your company, you're always wondering, like, what work do I say yes to? What work do I say no to? And frankly, they're going to have a lot of conversations with other business owners about those topics. In fact, if you guys ever have any challenges with growing your business, from successes to failures, and how to stay focused when your entrepreneurship journey and struggle even sometimes gets real, well, that's what these interviews are all about. There's over 20 plus years in business that a lot of these guys have that are going to be sharing their personal experiences with. So if you guys have employees or you don't have employees, if you guys are growing or you guys aren't trying to grow a larger company, big teams or smaller teams, these guys are going to talk to you all about what it takes to grow a more successful company. But not only that, also when it's okay to say no. When it's okay to say no to not growing your company larger. So anyway, I'm also looking forward to it. There's a lot of great episodes. Chance Daily Hustle, for example, he just dropped an episode on their podcast. So if you guys haven't checked it out, go check out the Built by You podcast. We'll make sure to leave that in the show notes. And now let's get right back into our interview with my wife, Liz. On this episode, the reason I wanted to bring you in studio, and
putting me on the spot. I asked you if you wanted to review what we're talking about, and I don't know.
No notes. And I don't know if this podcast is going to be 15 minutes or 45 minutes. Well, it's going to be 20 minutes because you got to get back upstairs because it's actually your birthday.
It's my 30th birthday today.
I'm like nothing like making you come in studio to do my stuff.
This is what we do. This is our life. Yeah. I would take this over pretty much anything any day.
Happy 30th birthday.
Thank you.
What did I get you so far?
Well,
I'm kind of coming up a little short on a goose egg. Hey, by the way, Matt from Equipment Defender, I just did an episode with those guys.
Yeah.
Matt said, happy birthday.
Aw,
he said, take your girl to a nicer restaurant than Chick-fil-A, Brian.
We are going to like my favorite restaurant tonight. So
what are you into?
Shiro. It's sushi restaurant, but they do like a bunch of like fusion rolls. It's so good. I'm so excited. It's in like an old like Victorian mansion style house. It's so cool.
If you know Shero, living in Novi, Metro Detroit, Michigan, great restaurant, great people. I'm really hoping they have a grilled cheese menu for kids.
They do have steak. You can get steak.
They do have a steak? Oh, like hibachi or something maybe?
Like filet mignon.
Well, twist my arm, you know. I'm so there's my brother's going. He doesn't do sushi, so
I feel bad because I don't think very many people do.
No,
that are meeting us there.
But it's like I don't say world class, but it's a really nice, popular restaurant. A little bit more on the pricey side, but it's like a really good sit down. Anyway, we're taking that to your favorite birthday party or your favorite restaurant for your birthday. And what else we got? So I wanted to rip you in studio really quick because this was a really cool like little thing that we did last weekend. So
so we have a tradition every year that we do between our birthdays. Usually there's a weekend. You're on the 10th, I'm on the 20th. Somewhere in between them is usually a weekend that we pick to go up north.
Shout out to all my June birthdays.
Yeah. Today's actually the first official day of summer too.
Because we're celebrating your birthday.
I know.
You make it so beautiful with your smile and your radiance that the whole planet changes its equinox. And I don't know what I'm talking about. But now the world is happy too. So shout out to June birthdays. In July, August, September, but June for sure. All right, so we do this birthday thing.
Yeah, so this started on your 30th birthday, actually. We started this tradition of going up north, getting out of town, and just kind of like expanding our like horizons for a few days away. We like to go up north, if you're familiar with Michigan, and like the Charlevoix, Petoskey area. There is a little resort town that I believe is actually part of Petoskey called Bay Harbor. And that's where we chose to stay. Because normally, in the years past, we actually would camp. Like legit, like pop a tent, no RV, like public bathroom, camp. And this was the first year that we actually went and like rented a place.
And this was like our getaway because so as you guys know, context is like when we're up here in Michigan, you know, COVID happened this year. That's a whole nother story. But like normally we get out there middle to late March in Michigan. And in the first 10 weeks, it's a grind. I'm like hundreds of yards of mulch, mowing lawns, edging everything, spring cleanup, spring aerations, fertilizer with my friend Mike, irrigation startups, like dude, it's an overwhelming thing. My friend Mike Bedell called it, it's like our Christmas shopping window, you know, like for the holidays.
Yeah, it's all
like that 10 weeks of like Christmas is like our 10 weeks of spring.
Yeah.
And it was like,
then it happens again in the fall.
It does. It happens again like October through late November. But like, so all that was like constipated because we were forced closed.
We were 3 months behind
because of our awesome governor. And so what happened was we, the chain was broken, released off our neck from her. The boot was off our neck, and we were able to get out there. Right. And so now you got 10 weeks to do, or you got like 2 or 3 weeks to get 10 weeks worth of work done.
Right.
And you want to talk about like just working crazy like schedules. Like my friend Mike, I saw him one time like driving home at 8:30. He's like, what's up, dude? What are you up to? I'm like, just getting done. He goes, yeah, me too. Like we're like, you know, trying to get all this extra revenue.
And it's not even just that. Like it's all the work that you do compounded with a podcast, compounded with a YouTube channel, compounded with like other things that we have in the works right now. And it's just, it was a really crazy couple of weeks there. So which is, I mean, it's normally somewhat that way, but this year, like even more so. So to get away for a weekend, like that is such valuable time at the end of all that crazy period. It's kind of why we do it.
Well, so we had the 10 weeks that is normally our spring season, and we go away. So that's what we do. We try to catch our breath because I'm a big proponent of like, I've learned that wealthy people plan their days off first. They don't plan work first. They plan vacation first. And so I've really adopted that. I want to be a top achiever and performer in life, and I'm learning things. So one thing that we always do is we prioritize all of our days off and our vacations, our weekends, all this stuff. And one thing that we've always, the last 4 years kept on was this, like you said, this weekend in between our birthdays where we go up north. And so it's, if you look at your right hand, your Michigan, hand, that's what we do. If you look at like where your pinky or like your ring finger meet, if you will, there's a place called Charlevoix. And we go there, and just about 20 minutes to the east, I think it is Bay Harbor. And if you're in Michigan and you've been up to the Traverse City, Charlevoix, Petoskey, you know this area, beautiful spot. And the reason for this episode is we want to talk about dream building, casting a vision, getting away and recharging. Nothing like super, super deep, but we just wanted to talk about the fact that maybe you are burned out. Maybe you've been going hard. Maybe you've been running the first 10, 12 weeks, especially if you've been in the South. Your season might have started like in February, You know, I know it's kind of like we're plowing snow, and I start seeing guys laying stripes.
I know
on YouTube.
That's usually about when you get frustrated.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like we just got a 5-inch slush snowstorm. The snow is going to be on the ground for another 2 weeks. There's no thought in our mind of doing cleanups because it's so wet and nasty out. And there's other guys that are like, yep, you know, we're on round 2 of fertilizer and we're already doing maintenance. Like they're done with cleanups. And I'm like, how is that possible? And so we make good money with snow. So we make way more money with snow than we do lawn care if you break it down. But we're always excited to get back out there, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, this 10, 12 weeks, you've been running hard. If you're listening to this, you've been working hard. And so what we want to talk about is just what we do. We get away, we go up north for a couple days. We try to make a long weekend out of it. We go up there usually. I have Fridays off and I do like YouTube stuff or weed pulling or landscaping work on Friday, sometimes Friday, Saturday. But normally we have Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off, and we don't really get days off. we do our own schedule, right?
Yeah.
I'm making a YouTube video, or I'm editing for 2 hours here, or I'm on an hour-long conference call with a company here, and we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to keep this machine moving. But then sometimes we are able to pull work ahead. So this year we did get bit. Of course, I worked all day Sunday to pull my Mondays ahead. We worked all day Monday to pull my Monday ahead and my Tuesday ahead. I worked Tuesday to pull the Wednesday lawns ahead. And then what happens on Wednesday?
Like a crazy storm.
Crazy storm. We get rained out, of course.
Completely. Like flash flooding.
I was so frustrated. We got like an inch of rain. This was like 2 weeks ago. It was worth it. We needed the rain. We need more rain now. But so like I did all this work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday just to get bit. By Wednesday, and so I had to work a half day Thursday, and then we went up north. So we had 3 full days, all Friday, all Saturday, all Sunday, and normally we camp. But what happened?
Well,
why do we not camp anymore?
Last year was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Just like that's what people say, right?
Yeah.
And I'm no like stranger to camping. I grew up not well off, so our vacations growing up were usually camping because it's cheap. And so I'm not like, people sometimes think that I'm like high maintenance or whatever. I promise, like I'm not. Like I'm really adaptable. So usually camping to me, I'm like, oh, it's like an adventure. We can go and we'll have fires and it'll be this great thing. Well, last year happened and it was, mid-June, which sometimes the weather in Michigan can be unpredictable, but usually by May, we kind of get all of the cold weather out of the way.
It's like 70s by then.
Not last year, though. I think it was like 45 degrees at night, maybe.
Yeah.
And our entire campsite flooded. The bottom, and I know how to like tarp a tent and like, stake it into the ground. Like I've been through this.
We know how to camp in Michigan.
But this torrential downpour that we experienced all weekend long.
3 solid days.
I don't care if you are like Mr. Wilderness himself. Like there was no saving what happened. Like in the bottom of our tent at the end, probably like Saturday night into Sunday, looked like a waterbed. If you tapped it, it just waved out. Like I've never experienced anything like that. And we would be laying in bed just shivering. Well, we slept with our heads underneath our sleeping blankets and pillows because we were so cold.
We tucked ourselves all the way in the sleeping bag. we went 2 people in one sleeping bag. Remember to make heat to like stay warm because we would die. Because if you looked at the radar, so it was like there's like the green radar, then the yellow radar, then the red. Well, we didn't get any red, but it was solid yellow. It was a yellow blob of rain that
just over us. It just wouldn't dissipate.
Days, it wouldn't go away, and it was like this. It almost was like this like West Coast, like Seattle type rain. It just kept coming. It just like because it was like this lake effect in May, and it was cold.
It was really cold. It wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't cold.
Well, it was like 55 degrees that night, I think. I remember because we were freezing cold. And if you're in a tent and it's 50 degrees and it's pouring wet rain, what do? We went to Walmart. You guys got to imagine this scene, like not to beat a dead horse, but we went to Walmart, which I don't do.
Walmarts by campsites are always really interesting.
If you go to Walmart, Traverse City, if you've ever been there, you know what I'm saying. Shoot me a DM if you've ever been there. There's the people at Walmart, and then there's the Traverse City Walmart. And the Traverse City Walmart, very sketch. It was the most unique characters. I thought Barnum and Bailey was there.
It's a nice Walmart. It's just the people there were sketchy.
Yeah, very sketchy. So what do? We bought, like you said, a tarp for underneath the tent. Because when we set up, it was like beautiful. We're like, oh, that's amazing. We're going to, magical little weekend. And we're going to recharge.
Everybody that knew was just laughing at us.
Yeah. Sure. So we bought a tarp for underneath. I ended up buying it. It started raining as we were going to Walmart. And we get back to the campsite thinking it's going to be flooded because we didn't bring that like vinyl tarp cover because it's camping. Like you don't camp when it rains. Well, hopefully.
Well, we had like the all-purpose like weather thing on top of it, but no
Yeah.
like tarp. So the only tarp that was left that we could find to go on top of it was literally to
they all
cover
sold
your
out.
RV. Like
Yeah.
it is the biggest. I still have it. It is the biggest tarp I've ever seen in my entire life.
Folks,
it's huge.
It's literally like 24 feet wide. By
So we
like,
basically tarped our entire campsite. Like,
Yeah.
And it was so bad. It was so bad. Anyways.
we had to tarp underneath the tent. We wrapped the tarp with our old we wrapped the tent with our old tarp, and then we wrapped the top of the tent with this like literally 24 foot wide by 60 foot long tarp. I mean, folks, we literally looked like we were laying out a hot air balloon. I mean, it was and like
it was longer than the campsite.
it was so ridiculous. And if you guys listen to this, I'm sure you're laughing and shaking your head because. And here's the funny thing. Here's the best part. Like if you're a man and you listen to this and you already feel like a loser, like when this experience is happening, then what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Literally on Saturday, big. If you camp, you know that Saturday is a big switchover day, right? Like people are leaving to go back home. The next batch comes up. You got to be out of the campsite by like 9 a.m.
We were trying to warm up with a fire because it was so cold. So we were out of our tent with like a raging fire going on, just trying to get warm. Because I mean, you know when you get cold and it's damp, like you are cold to the bone.
It's wet.
Yeah.
And then 3 campers, like within 3 hours, all backed up to the site to the east of us, the site to the south of us. We're on the little north road, and then like to the west of us or whatever. And like
they just weren't any campers though.
They were like these baller.
Mac Daddy.
They're all towables, you know. They're all like half-ton towables. Shout out to BTB RV, and he's like half-ton towable. So there was these half-ton towable campers, like travel trailers. You know, they're 26 footers, 30 footers. But it was like the first one's like the Imagine one. And it's like it's almost like you hear the air brakes. And then it's like the sides go out. It's like, and then it's like all these lights and shit come out, and like all these like blue, all the radios and the TVs, and I'm like the outdoor little kitchen, and I'm like, huh. That's nice. And it's like auto leveling jacks are like 3 feet from my campsite because you hear the pneumatic jack. It's like, boom.
We're just sitting there in our camping chairs, like soggy.
Like the ramps come down from the doors. You guys know what I'm talking about, and you almost hear the dun dun dun, 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 and I'm like, hey, nice camper. You guys are awesome. And then we open up our little zipper on the vinyl. Little zipper, and like the screen opens up, and like we like look through, and then there's like people in the camper in the window washing dishes, and like they see us, we see them, and I'm like, I want to be in your camper. And the people are out there like, are you guys okay? And I'm like, I hate my freaking life right now. I was so mad.
The thing is, we weren't broke. Like, but this tradition started when we were. So it became a tradition that we had started when we had no money. We had no business being up north at all. And now, last year, things started to kind of change for us. Like, we were in a pretty good spot.
Last 2 years, we were starting to make some money with both of our businesses. And
so it's not like we had to be, but like we were being conservative. We're trying to be fiscally responsible. And it was like a tradition, you know? And camping is fun. You get to cook on the fire and like whatever.
But this one ruined it for us.
This is kind of,
Because it wasn't just the one camper. I mean, literally, that whole experience happened 3 times.
Yeah.
And if you're a red-blooded male, I was like, I'm going to General RV right now, and I'm buying a camper, and I'm towing this bad boy home.
I wouldn't have been surprised if we weren't in the Infinity, if we had brought the truck.
I was so mad, bro. I was so mad. Like, I'm like, I got 20 grand. I can go buy a camper. I can pay cash. And all these people are like, you guys okay out there? And we're just like this, like dorky
we're
little
like
blonde
shivering.
couple.
We're fine. Because I'm also super hard headed, very type A. Like, no, we're sticking it out. This is fine. This is actually perfect. This is exactly what I want. It's so cozy. Anyways.
Yeah, as we're pouring literal lighter fluid on the campsite fire to like make it because it's wet. It's so wet out, and
the logs are smoking. So
yeah. And then like you go from the wet campsite to the wet bathrooms that are just all mudded. They're just nasty. And you're hoping it's water on the floor because it's just
It's not.
And you guys know it. It's just sketchy. So
anyways, so that compared to last year.
So that ruined it for us.
It ruined it for us. So then this year, I mean,
take it away.
We waited until probably a week before, just making sure, you know, we have to remain flexible. You know, if we got rained out like a week straight, we'd obviously change our weekend. So usually anytime we do trips, we try to be as flexible as possible, book like a few days out if we can.
Yeah, buy travel insurance if you guys ever do vacation stuff.
Yeah.
It's $12. It goes a long way.
Yeah. So
for people like us.
I found, like, we had been to Bay Harbor before, and it's a place we go to like dream build because there's houses all around there that are millions and millions of dollars. Like, not just like 1 million. Like, they start at a minimum of a couple million.
Yeah. It's a harbor. It's a resort kind of
it's
town.
like a resort town. I think it's part of Petoskey, but it has its own.
Yeah, its own zip code, its own restaurants, its own like liberal arts. What do you call it? Like a museum.
Yeah, like
movie
an art
theater.
center.
Art center. Yeah. And you got to really, we'll never be able to describe it. Like you got to go look at bayharbor.com or something like that.
Yeah.
Google it. It's like $1 billion resort. I mean, there's this huge, massive white hotel.
It's beautiful.
Right down by the harbor. There's a marina. Boats are bobbing and weaving up and down. You just hear the, from the sails, and it's just so pretty.
It's beautiful.
They have a couple of restaurants there. And like Liz said, there's 4 or 5 different tiers of like homes there. Mm-hmm. Like if you actually look at the marina, there's the peninsula on like the little thing, the water break, land that breaks the marina. So that's like a little peninsula. And there's like the DeVos, like Amway guys that have a home there. It's like $25 million, right? Mm-hmm. The next home, $20 million. The next home, $9.5 million.
I love it because you can see the homes from the docks if you walk all the way out. But what's frustrating to me, because we sneak into a lot of like wealthier subdivisions that are gated by us. I mean, you can almost get in pretty much anywhere with like a landscape truck.
Yes.
It has her business name on the back. So they just assume we're there for
You're a contractor.
Yeah. It's kind of like the vest, the safety vest that gets people into places. You just carry a ladder, they'll let you in anywhere.
Yeah.
So we do that a lot with the truck here because we live in one of the wealthier counties in our
we don't have
state.
any of the money.
No, we don't. We service
that.
the people that do. So we've done it before. But this place, the peninsula where he's talking about, is so frustrating to me because they will not.
Won't let anybody in.
Not even like on your bicycles.
No, so you guys got to imagine this. And maybe you're accustomed to this. Like for us, we live in Oakland County. It's like top 5, top 10 wealthiest counties in America. Like it is a really wealthy old school, like, the Art Vans and, the Fords and Bloomfield Hills and Birmingham. If you know this area, it's extremely wealthy. Mm-hmm. And so it's funny because the peninsula is all these like, these aren't like $10 and $20 million homes. These are $20 million summer homes for people that they may or may not go to, but 2 to 3 times a year. And out on their dock, like Liz was saying, is a $500,000 formula boat, a $3 million, Azimut yacht. And you're like, so these aren't $20 million homes. It's somebody's $20 million. We might go to it.
Cottage.
We might not go to it. Summer cottage. I don't know. Do you want to go take the boat out this year? Mm-hmm. Formula boat home. And so, these people have $20 million main homes, $20 million private jets to get to the private Charlevoix airport, 1 mile, 10 minutes down the road. It's insane. And then, so there's all the peninsula. Yeah. Then there's like these homes around the bay. And actually, a lot of guys were shooting us DMs. They're like, hey, that's the DeVos house. That's the Four Winds house, boat manufacturer. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. This is in Charlevoix. $8 million boat house. I mean, it's insane. So very, very wealthy area. The condos are like $1 million. And so we go up there because it really stretches us.
And it is honestly like, I remember when we first started dating, you used to make me go into stores like Tiffany's or Cartier, and I would be embarrassed and mortified to just walk through the door because I didn't feel like I belonged there. Like, and it was so like I felt like I stuck out as a sore thumb. Like, it was painful almost to walk through the doors of like an expensive restaurant or a nice mall that I feel like we didn't belong in. Like, and it's very uncomfortable. And I think we've done that so much together. Actually, that's like one of our favorite things to do, like as a date when we had no money, was to go out and dream build.
And we still do.
And you could there's 2 types of people. There's people that view that as motivating and there's people that view that as depressing. Mm-hmm. And the people that view that as depressing, like, I'm sorry, but if you don't ever stretch your dream, then like you're never going to get there. Mm-hmm. And so if you view your life as like a rowboat, like your actual life is a rowboat, and say there's an island on the horizon, that's your dream. That's where you want to get your life to. Well, in one oar to get you there is your action. Mm-hmm. Like everything that you do every day to get you there. But if you're only taking action, you're going to row yourself in circles. The other oar in the boat is your vision. And if you don't grasp onto vision and stretch yourself and get uncomfortable and do embarrassing things like sneak into neighborhoods you don't belong in to stretch your dream, then you're never going to get there. You can work as hard as you want, but if you have no direction, no wind in your sail to get you going, you're never going to reach where you want to go in your life.
You guys see why I married her? But you're right. And so when we linked up, like, you could tell I was a dreamer and I could tell you were a dreamer.
Mm-hmm. Like we had nothing to our names, but we could.
But I said I want to go somewhere, and you said I want to do something with somebody who wants to do something, and you got your own ideas, and just launched a blog, by the way.
I did. Actually, if you want to read about our whole trip and kind of places that we like hung out.
Big news, by the way. Liz just launched her first ever blog.
Yeah. I did an entire post about this trip. It's just lizfullerton.com. It's really easy.
Please go there, support her, check it out. This is the first time you've ever talked about it.
It is.
You're excited about it?
I am.
Nervous?
Yeah.
Kind of putting yourself out there?
I'm not a writer. Like, I spell things incorrectly. I don't use punctuation properly, like at all. So
TTYL.
Don't have your standards very high, but I love sharing. I love taking photos.
You do a great job with photos, for real. Like if you guys aren't following my girl on Instagram, or have your girl or your wife follow my girl, because I'm telling you, like she'll get motivated and feel like a butt kicker too, because you got to include the girl. But that's the thing, like we're big dreamers. Like we are business people. You guys got to realize, if you're listening to this, you're an entrepreneur, you're a entrepreneur, you're a business owner. Like we want nice things. I mean,
there is nothing wrong. We're Christians.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hear people talk about, especially in the Christian community, about how it's wrong to want nice things.
Not at all. I can't stand that.
I don't subscribe to that. I think good people with money do good things. And if we have nice things, you better believe that everybody else around us that we can possibly bring with us to get to those nice things is coming too.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the funny thing, like when I have Bedell in studio, and you've heard the podcast, and you know, because you know Bedell as much as I do, but like I'm taking my lawn care income and we're reinvesting it into real estate. In fact, we were up there looking at real estate.
That was one of the bigger, I think this trip was, it's always super inspiring for us, but it was definitely interesting because it felt different this year. We didn't have a rush to see all of these things because it was our only chance to get up there. You know, we were making a couple extra bucks, so if we want to, we can go up there again. What we really took our time to do this year
was see if we wanted to live up there.
To see if we wanted to live up there and to see if there were properties that we wanted to maybe invest in as like rental properties. Like we said, tourism is a huge business up there. And so we got information from a realtor, and it's so weird because it's actually possible for us. Like the idea of buying a rental property 4 years ago, like you might as well have told me that we finally figured out how to fly ourselves to the moon. Like I'm sure like we could have figured, I always knew that one day we would, and that's what we were working towards. But when you actually start to realize these dreams, it's so different. And it's not even a dream. It's another investment. It's another business opportunity. Like,
well, that's what we're doing. We're taking the money that we make from YouTube and the money that we make from a lot of landscape company, because you got to do something with it. I mean, you guys listening to this, there's so many of you guys that I send photos and stuff to, and you guys give me encouragement. But I know so many of you guys, like you guys have restaurants and you guys have car washes and you guys have other companies that you invest in. I'm like, I didn't even know that. I'm like, oh yeah, I own 3 other things, and we own this, this, and this. And like, I've had my lawn and landscape business for 24 years, but I actually own 3 different, restaurants. I'm like, what? In fact, there's a couple of guys around town that own rental apartment buildings. And so it's not uncommon to, like, if you're hustling and you guys don't want to be an entrepreneur and continue to grow into other businesses, like you guys know, and I've learned, and I knew intellectually, but I just didn't know practically. Like once you make it, you got to do something with it.
Yeah, and
and we're not like, we haven't arrived. Okay,
no,
like,
no,
it's
no,
not like
no,
we got like 3.1 million liquid. Okay, we're not. We're not there
one
yet.
Day. But like the thing is, I think for a while, very early on, saw like our lawn business as our thing, and like our ego got involved with it, where we are gonna be lawn maintenance business owners, and that's all we're gonna ever be, and like that's our thing, and like our ego's tied into it, when like really is like you take that money and you can invest in it. Just because you get started in one thing doesn't mean you have to stay there.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you have to let go of it either, but don't let that be your identity.
Well, for me, 100% I can agree, because I realize my lawn and landscape business, to me, it's just a cash flowing asset. Like I love cutting grass, guys. Like it's weird because you almost got to like separate it. Like one side of me is like, I work for my company, I love my company, I love cutting grass, I'm involved with it, I love the stripes, I love doing mulch, and I do take a really good prideful, I'm very proud of what I do with my company. But the other side of it is like, I immediately step out of my company and go, okay, cool, that's business A. Like I almost put it like on the shelf or on this microscope, because I'm like, it's just a cash flowing income producing asset. Like I learned a lot of this from Mike.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this as a couple, like very early on too. Are you process oriented? Do you have to love what you do every day, or are you results oriented? Or do you not really care what you have to do to get there? I mean, you can like cutting grass, that's awesome. But if it's a tool to get you to other places, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. Well, and our CPA talked about that. He's like, well, what's the plan for this? He's like, you grow it, sell it, automate it. I go, we don't know. Like that was like nobody told me. Like, and then I get around Josh Latimer, and he's at our Launchpreneur Academy event, and he says this stuff, and I'm like, what are we doing with this thing? Like, am I building it to sell it? I get on Nick Carlson on the show. He's like, do you look at it as an asset or an ATM? Like, you just pulling cash out of it, or do you plan to like build something and sell it off? And I'm like, I don't know. So like, I don't know. Like, so when you guys hear this stuff too, and it's like changing your brain, you're like, what am I doing here? Dude, I'm in the same boat with you guys. I don't freaking know. I learned how to cut grass. I knew how to run a business, but now I'm like, you know, I'm getting older. I'm 34. Liz had her birthday. She's not 34. Don't quote women's age. You know,
I'm 30. I'm proud of it.
You are. You're.
I'm so excited. I mean, it's 30.
You're rock and rolling, girl.
Yeah.
But like, so we're learning with you guys. Hopefully, you guys appreciate like the candid conversation because we're very raw. Like we're just open book, and we're learning how to like become successful or like successful or most successful. You know, and so Bay Harbor for us is just like a really cute place for us to dream build. And so here's the point. The point is that I wanted to just put a podcast episode out there that says, and I'm not telling you guys what to do, but I'm just saying, take some time to think, take some time to dream build, maybe take a couple days off, maybe plan a getaway, a little vacation, take the wife. Not only is it helpful for vision casting and trying to figure out what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go, but frankly, it really is important for bringing the wife.
I will say, like, it's very common for me to get a question when we're out either at the GIE or an event or something. A lot of guys will ask me how you got me involved with the business or how I got excited about the business.
Yep.
And my story is a little different. Like when we first met, you already had the business and I was excited to help you with it because I was just excited about you.
You saw the Ferrari keychain, girl.
Yeah. I'm an adventure person. There's a book called Wild at Heart. If you haven't read it, for guys, it's really, really good. And they talk about, I think in there, you know, women want different things. And I'm very much a take me on like an adventure with you kind of girl. Like that's just, I like the journey. But one of the biggest things, like I said, when we first started dating is we couldn't have afforded even like a paperclip for some of these places you used to take me.
No.
But like you spent time explaining, this is why I'm working so hard. This is where I see it going. These are the action steps I'm taking to get there. So you didn't make empty promises. You took me to see these things so that I could expand my vision. And then we went home and busted butt to get it to happen together.
100%.
And so if you're having trouble getting your wife like on board or your spouse, your significant other, whatever, you know, maybe take some time and get her dreams involved too. It's not just about you. Like you might want to have the biggest, baddest lawn company in the world, but why? What are you actually trying to achieve? Do you want it just because you want a big ego? Just say that I have 6 trucks and trailers and, you know, a couple crews of guys. Like that's cool, but why?
Yep.
Like,
and what does that mean to your wife or your girl or your husband? You know, like how does that involve them? And people sometimes wonder, and by the way, we're not trying to like preach. We're just saying like, this is
just what we've learned.
This is
like,
what works for us.
Yeah.
Like I got to keep Liz included. She's got to keep me included. Like she's vested into her blog and it has to make sense for me too about why should I support her versus why should I not get offended that this is a distraction? Like it works both ways.
I think we did maybe a video or maybe a podcast on talking about when we take like our marriage hats off and we put our business hats on and like making it a habit to make that like a regular thing that happens.
That was episode 2, I think, like how to work together as a married couple. So if you guys haven't listened to the podcast, episode 1's our story, which is really, really good. Cause you just see like, if we can, you know, Forrest Gump it this far, you guys can tear it up too. But number 2 was how to work together as a married couple. And we get that question a lot and we don't have it figured out. We're just telling you what works for us. You know, it goes full circle to, here's the one thing I wanted to just maybe wrap up a final thought with, and just to keep this short, was when we were up there, it stretches us because once you get away from the noise, you got to get about 3-4 hours away to get away from the noise. Because if you go take a trip to your local campsite 30 minutes away, the phone still rings, you can still order a Jet's pizza, you're still connected. And so for us getting 3.5 hours away, like if something's happening, I can't fix it. I can't fix it until I get back on Monday because it's too far away, the proximity distance. And that's what works for us. But while we were up there, it was just really, really cool because it still stretches me. Of course it's going to stretch me, but it stretches me because when I went up there at 30, I couldn't afford anything. And when I went up there at 31, I could afford a little bit more. And now that we're 34, I went up there, I could buy some of these condos. We could buy some of the smaller homes, the boats in the harbor. I'm like, I could buy some of these boats.
We have a fun game called I Can Buy You.
I can buy you. ICBY or whatever. I can buy you.
We have I Can Buy You or I Can't Buy You Yet, but almost.
Yeah. I drive by the Mercedes dealer. I'm like, I could buy you. But it's cool. Like knowing that you're making gains. And by the way, 1,000% I encourage you guys to keep kicking butt, man, and chasing down your goals. And thank you for all you guys that shoot me DMs as well, saying the same thing. Like, dude, Brian, great job. Brian, we're praying for you. Brian, you're kicking butt. Like, I'm trying to hustle just like you guys are to take care of my wife, my family, my mom. And so when I'm up there, I'm like, dude, I can start buying some of this stuff. Like, I feels good. Like, I'm winning. Like last year over year, our income skyrocketed, right? And that was a big win for us because dude, every ounce of thing I'm working so hard on, just like you guys, it's coming together, right? It's coming together. And I'm like, yeah, we're kicking butt. We're making it. And while we're up there, it made me still also think about how little in the game we are. And that's the best part. It's like you kick ass, but then you get up there and you see this is somebody's $8 million summer vacation home. And you're like, well, you can't get that stuff with a YouTube channel or a landscape. No. Yes, you can. I don't want to grow I don't want to get wealthy with a huge landscaping company. We've talked about that. I just don't want huge employees and overhead. But with YouTube and with social media, and I've told Liz, like, maybe I'll start a manufacturing company one day. Maybe we'll sell mowers direct. Who knows? Just having
talked
fun.
a lot about that.
But I was up there and I said, but here's the thing, and this is what I also want to teach our kids, is that you're looking at this $8 million home, and somebody owns that home. And he had to create a widget, and he had to enterprise. He had the free enterprise. He had to be a capitalist, and he made $1 profit on that one widget, but he had to make 8 million of those widgets, and he helped 8 million people. And just really gets you thinking that, how much of an impact can you make? How much can you help people? And it gets your brain away from like the just the constant work. I got to trim, I got to blow, I got to edge, I got to mulch, I got to trim, blow, edge, mulch. And it gets you up and you go, what can I really do? How big do I want to see my life? How big do I want to see my impact? And if you guys don't take time for that, to stretch yourself, to stretch your vision, to challenge yourself that you can do more or be more. And not everybody wants to. Maybe you're content. Maybe you're happy where you're at. Like, dude, for sure. Like, I think the only thing cooler than being successful is being content. Like, I'm dead serious. Because if you're at a good level and you're happy there, I'm happy for you, dude. Stay at that level. But for Liz and I'm like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a multi-millionaire. I want to be super successful. And so it gets me around these environments where I look around and, somebody's got a $500,000 formula boat, or these, what was that one Midnight Rider like boat? The one with the 5 engines. Something out of a
James Bond movie.
Dude, it had like 5 engines. And some of you guys were shooting me DMs saying like that boat's like $600,000 with like each engine's like $90,000. Yeah. I was like, what? I thought it was like, $100,000.
I'm like, it needs security. Like, it's literally just sitting there.
It just sits there. But it really gets you thinking that I can do more. And so, but you never can see yourself doing more if you don't see yourself doing more. And you can't do that when you're stuck in the grind, when you're just stuck in the mud, when you're what's the old one, like you're so stuck in the forest that you
can't see the trees.
You can't see the trees. Yeah. Or you're like, it's almost like you're walking down the road looking at your front feet instead of like looking out with vision. And for us, I know that the more time I get away, every like 6 to 8, 10, 12 weeks, once a quarter for sure, like it makes me think and regroup. And all we did was talk. We just connected. We just talked. What about this opportunity? What about this? What about that rental property? What about this with the podcast? What about this next YouTube topic? What about this video series? What about this landscaping thing? Do we want to add a crew, add a truck? Do we want to leave Michigan and go to Texas because our governor is crazy? I don't care if you don't like that. Like, she's crazy. And so, you know what I'm saying? So you had another thought that you want to share?
I was just going to say, like, it's not always easy. Like, it sounds fun to take like a vacation, but like really, like, this is brain work. Like, this makes you think. Like, it can give you a headache. Like, and it can be very discouraging if you don't do it with the right attitude. If you have a negative like mindset of this will never happen for me, like, it's not always easy to get away. It's not always easy to take even a day or 2 days, 3 days. Like,
no, we have work.
Yeah. And so it's hard to leave that. As a small business owner, I'm sure you guys are shaking your heads going, yeah, I can't imagine leaving my business in mid-season at the very busiest part for a couple days away. Like, yeah. But it's so important. It's absolutely invaluable because we can look back at every year that we've gone as a stake in the ground where we've come back more inspired and things have changed because we've carved that time out of our calendar intentionally with purpose.
I think it helps you. It's like those checkpoints we talk about. Mm-hmm. By the way, it's also really motivating too because a few years ago we came there and we're not like, guys, we're not rich, we're not successful, we don't, we don't have this like trappings of all this material success. Like we're still on the come up, like just like you guys listen to this. That's why it's so fun. I talked about this to Liz. I said, you know what? Nobody ever documents the middle part. It's like it's always like this guy was poor, then he's rich. Or like you see Grant Cardone in 2009, 10, 11, and he's worth like multi-millions of dollars. And he's got $1 billion under asset management.
I want to talk to the Greg in 2006. Like that's who I
want to know the 1999 Grant Cardone.
Right.
And there's not a lot of that. And I hope that like twofolds. One, I hope that like you guys can relate and like hang out with us as we try to become more successful. And I want to become more successful. And hopefully you guys appreciate like the fun story. And I'm watching you guys become more successful as we all do this together. But one thing too though is that it's extremely motivating. And Do you feel, Liz, that you work harder on excitement or anger? Like anger. Okay. I definitely am motivated by anger. Righteous anger is what I call it, because when things are fun and fluffy, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then when somebody gets in your face or says you can't do it, it makes me want to smoke them. And
you have a pretty cool story about an I can't or you can't moment I think you're going to talk about on your 100th.
I think we're going to talk about that story on my 100K subscriber podcast, which will probably come out before or after this one. Because somebody told me I would never make it on YouTube. But what was the one that happened to you on the dock? We'll wrap up with this story.
Oh my gosh, this actually, so I'm not a very emotional person. I think I've gotten more emotional the longer Brian and I have been together, because his family is just, they're emotional people, and it's kind of rubbing off on me, I think. But so we're sitting at the end of the dock. We're actually waiting, socially distanced waiting to get into a breakfast place. It's like 9 a.m. Haven't had my coffee yet. And we're just sitting on the end of this dock.
The sun just peeked out.
It's beautiful. The water's glass. Like, it's just gorgeous. It's peaceful. It's quiet. And we're staring at these houses and we're saying, like, not just how can we get there? How can we get our family to the next level? Like, what can we tangibly go home and do to get us closer to this lifestyle?
What kind of content can I also make for these guys that helps them
How
think
many
like
people can we help? Because if you help enough people, you get where you want.
Well,
like,
I heard somebody say, if you're a millionaire, it's because you helped a lot of people. If you're a billionaire, it's because you help people become millionaires.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, these people are rich because they've helped other people become rich.
So we're just kind of like in awe, because whether it was these people or these people's parents or somebody in their family did something pretty big to get these houses.
Yep.
Like you can't deny that fact.
Nobody in our family.
Nobody in our family yet.
Yeah. That'll be us.
Yeah.
Amen.
And so we're just having like this kind of like special little moment, like talking about how far we've come, where we want to go, kind of wrapping it up. It's Sunday morning. Like we're about to, after breakfast, get in the truck and come back home. And this beautiful boat, I don't know, it's got to be like some sort of collector's boat or something. It's all wood and glossy, and it looks like something out of like, I don't know, like a J. Crew catalog. Like it is ultra
Literally.
prep, like
little brass fittings, brass little horn.
Yeah.
A little like shiny wood.
Beautiful
Little trolley boat thing.
And it's kind of approaching to where we're sitting, and I'm like, maybe we need to move. Like it's probably their dock. Like we didn't really intend to sit down. It just kind of happened once we got like lost in the moment. And so we get up and walk out, kind of back away, and they dock their boat kind of right where we were sitting. And as they're getting to, throw the rope around the thingy and
tie up.
Yeah. This woman who's got to be 20 to 30 years my senior, like very sternly says, you realize that these are private docks, right? This is somebody's dock. Just because they're not here doesn't mean that, they're not going to be. This isn't a place for you to sit. And I was so taken aback, because I just did, like, we're having this beautiful moment, and like we clearly, like, we don't look like we're causing trouble. Like we, just this little couple sitting at the end of the dock having a moment, and this woman somebody pissed in her Cheerios. I don't know.
She's an effing Karen.
Yeah.
She was a Karen.
And I was like, okay, like no big deal, like cool, like have.
And then she goes, yeah, this isn't our dock either, but we're just gonna tie off here so we can go eat breakfast. It would just be our luck that these people come and want to have us move our boat.
And giggles about it.
And like she's in this like sweater vest, little like hoity-toity.
Very. I'm sure you have like a very good picture of what this.
Oh, I know exactly. Like. She was this like little like scarf wearing thing.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, then I noticed that her husband and her daughter, who's my age, on the boat, like says nothing. If my mom did this, my mom would never. But if she did, I would be mortified.
Yeah.
Absolutely
it was
mortified.
Really awkward.
It was very, and it wasn't
we
just
already
like
moved.
Yeah, it was like we had moved before they had even said anything, and then she just kept like.
And by the way,
mentioning it was just very weird.
And by the way, these docks, they're very public. Like people walking up and down the docks all the time.
Yeah.
The dock slip in the where everybody parks their boat. Yeah, that's private. Of course, like you can't park your boat.
We were at like the very very
end of it.
And
so what she basically said though,
you don't belong here.
You don't belong here.
I was like, okay, like, and I kind of just internalized it. Whatever. We walked to breakfast. I was very quiet, and at breakfast, like we'd ordered and everything, and Brian just kind of looks at me and he goes, "You okay?" And I go, "No, I'm really not. Like, I'm just in shock at how this lady reacted, and like we were having like this little moment."
Very quiet. You were very quiet.
Because I was contemplating, like, and all I could think to myself is, I never want to be that person. I hope if one day we do make it and we have a boat or a car.
Because I want a Formula 430.
A flippin' house, and somebody pulls up, and like I see them looking at whatever it is that we have. I hope that I can use how that lady treated us as a lesson, and it would make me want to bring that person in. And I think we try and do that already. If, you compliment me on anything, I'm probably going to take it off and have you try it on. That's never been like my MO. And we've had really good experiences with other people. Like, I remember we were touring a neighborhood again that we didn't belong in, and we had stopped outside of this house, like creepy, like probably shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And this man came out.
It's like a little Asian dude.
And he was like, do you want to come inside and see? Mm-hmm. Which...
It's a $3 million home right by us.
Oh yeah.
And he goes, it's 11,000 square feet.
Yeah. And we were parked away from like not in front of his house, but kind of.
We're creeping down the road.
Yeah. And like, that's who I want to be.
He was like grabbing his newspaper. He's like, you guys want to like come inside? And we were like so embarrassed. We had such a low self-image.
Well, we didn't even have the new truck. We were in like your old truck.
Yeah. I just, no. He's like, no. He was Asian. He was really, choppy English, but he was a really cool dude. And he probably would have let us. Mm-hmm. We also said no because maybe he put us in his wine cellar and kill us. Like we don't know. But he was a really nice guy. But you had said like you said a prayer to yourself. You said like, I promise to never, if we get nicer things, like ever do that to somebody else, because it was you don't belong here. Mm-hmm. And all the lady had to do was say, hey guys, like, beautiful boat, huh? And we're like, yeah, beautiful boat. She goes, you guys want to like step on it or something? Or not
even that. Just like if
you guys can do it, man. Like, what do you guys do?
Anything.
Like encouraging. And like, there's two types of people out there, man. Like there's givers and there's takers. There's encouragers and criticizers. And it just felt like you got kind of crushed. And then you came back like 2 minutes later. I didn't
get crushed. I was just like, I knew, because we had been stretching ourselves for so long, I freaking belong there.
Dude, my
vision and like where my head's at is so far ahead of where we are physically at in the moment, that my like spirit being already feels like it should be there. So for her to tell me I didn't went against the grain. And that just goes to show you how much effort and intentionality, I don't know if that's where I use the word, goes into what we do to cultivate our mindset and to grow where we see ourselves. That if I already feel like I belong there and somebody doesn't tell me, or somebody tells me I don't, that I don't get upset or embarrassed that I'm there. I get upset and frustrated that they think that they can tell me that I don't belong where I know in my heart I belong.
Yeah.
And
whose right is it for her to tell you where you belong and don't belong?
But it was a very good, interesting teaching moment. And I pray to God, Jesus, you can take anything you want from me. If I act like that woman, I don't deserve any of it.
Well, I've always said, like, if I get a Tesla Model X, I'm bringing it to GIE, or I'm bringing it to, if it's feasible, or Launchpreneur Academy. I'm going to open it up. You guys can come inside, hang out, sit in it, like just mess around with it. Like, because it's a win. It's just a win. Like, be encouraging. Like, encourage the next person. Like they were double our age, of course. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like she like slipped up. Like that was her attitude about life.
You could tell that was just how she behaved and who she was everywhere, which is really unfortunate.
And it's not conducive, or whatever word I'm trying to use for that environment. Bay Harbor. It is wealthy. It's extremely wealthy, but that's not everybody there, because there's a lot of nice people, a lot of cool people, a lot of, hey, where are you guys from? What are you guys doing? Like, in residents, and also I don't know what you call them, like staff members and visitors. And so you kind of get that sometimes from like maybe people that are wealthy, and we weren't like loitering, but it kind of got you charged up like one way. And then I got crazy because I was like, I just 10x my gross income, my taxable income last year. I'm making gains. My income's doubling year over year. And like, I'm trying to make $1 million here, and I'm going to smoke this lady, and I'm going to smoke everybody. And in fact, like I was just like screaming. I'm like, these people have no idea how hard I work. They have no idea what I got going on. And Liz is like,
this is all in the car on the way back. By the way. We were in public doing this.
Yeah. I'm just like you guys, man. I'm listening to you guys out there, man. I don't know if you guys have family members that doubt you, or people that are criticizers, or people that make fun. Like, screw that crap. Keep listening to my podcast. I'll keep telling you you're a winner, and you're going to be able to make it happen. And whether it's, cutting 12 lawns on the side and just making some summer cash to like pay for braces for your kids because you're a firefighter, dude, win. Like, that's winning. That's freaking awesome. And if you also want to take your income from $100,000 a year to $100,000 a month running a landscaping company, freaking do it. I'm going to tell you that you can do it. You know why? Because the world is wide open right now. Everybody else is telling you what you can't do. And what I realized, the more that I do, that I realize that nobody else is doing. And that's why it's so easy for me to succeed. Not because I'm successful or it's easy to me. The fact is that I'm working 10,000% harder than any other single person around me, because everybody's been listening to everybody tell them that they can't do it. And then nobody does it. And I've just realized personally in the last 36 months that the highway, the extra mile highway, it's wide open because nobody takes it. The path to become successful, nobody's on it. Nobody's on it. All these thoughts, all these self-limiting beliefs, and all this negative words and negative thoughts and distractions and noise, right? Like it doesn't exist. It's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. And there might be a little bit of like this, like that lady who was just clearly being a Karen.
But I've seen Karens like that at every level. We actually know somebody kind of personally who acts that way and hasn't no money in the bank. So it's not just, there's going to be people who are going to tell you no at every point in life.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is like, if you guys want to hustle, if you guys want to work, if you guys want to make it happen, like keep doing it. Keep working hard. Like Liz said earlier, that was a really good line. You said like, you have to work, but you have to have the vision. Because if you just work really fast, like hard, and you just go really fast, like you don't know what exit you're trying to get off on the highway. But if all you do is think, and imagine, and vision, but you don't back it up with work, like I've always heard like the vision is the engine, but the transmission is the work. So like you have to couple one to the other. If you just have an engine roaring with our revs, no transmission, no progress. And if you have your drive, your car in gear, but you ain't going forward because you're not hitting the gas pedal, dude, your car's in gear, but you're stuck. You're first gear at the red light. And so anyway, this is really good.
Yeah.
So
I think we talked a lot about like actually Entrepreneur Academy on the way back.
Oh my God. Like we're spending money. Like you guys want to be behind the scenes. It's going to be epic. We're buying stuff to like invest into it and to like, cause if we're going to make this an annual thing, I'm going to invest in it big time to like get like decorations and new stuff and cool. Anyway, like people coming in, like we're giving away like a Raptor there. No, I'm just kidding. We're not giving away a Raptor.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, sponsored by Equipment Defender, right? It's blue and gray. It's Matt's. Matt's gonna be like, "Will you give away my truck?" Oh my God, we're just having fun. All right, guys, for real. Want to do just a big shout out again to Jobber, the Built by You podcast. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. Just really, really good people over there. Jobber's done so much behind the scenes to grow the lawn and landscape community, just with their content and all the different things that they make available to you guys. Great CRM as well if you need to manage your business. So go for that. But again, the Built by You podcast. I was listening to Chant, Daily Hustle, another guy, Brian. I forget his business name, but I know I follow him on Instagram. And I was listening to his startup story, and it's just really cool to see what those guys are doing. So if you enjoyed this episode, of course, do us a big solid. Leave us a rating and review, and let us know how we're doing. But go check out the Jobber podcast. We'll leave the link in the show notes, and go support those guys. And it's just more great content, honestly, to listen to all day. I've been loving it, man. I've been loving listening to all the podcasts for 6, 7, 8 hours a day while I'm on the mower, from our podcast, Jobber, and Paul and Julio and a bunch of other guys. So hopefully you guys appreciate the mind food. It's been really helpful. Any last thoughts that you want to wrap up? This is supposed to be 20 minutes in and out.
What are we at?
51 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Hey, you crushed it with the rowboat analogy and that vision. That's probably gonna
Thanks. That's actually part of. I've been trying to figure out what I want to say at Entrepreneur Academy. So we're talking about vision. Yeah. I think. Yeah. And that was the little part of it.
You're gonna talk. Oh, that's
together,
1 minute teaser.
Not just me by myself.
Oh, well, yeah. We thought about sharing together, but if that's what you're talking about, damn, like you need to get there, and you need to bring your wife, because a lot of you guys think that I'm like the type A. I'm actually not.
I think you are a little less type A than I am.
I'm a lot less type A than Liz. Liz is actually where I get a lot of this. If I get on the podcast, I'm all fired up. It's because Liz is like, well, I'm sick of this, and this is how it's got to be. And I'm like, yeah, it's got to be like that. And then I get all motivated, and I'm a pretty phlegmatic dude, actually. So
no, you're not.
No, I'm just a detail guy. All right. Appreciate you guys, as always, listening to the show. Any final thoughts?
No.
All right, cool. We're over now, guys. We'll catch up with you all on the next one.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.